Welcome back to the Tiberium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you today with a very interesting item. This is a store display with ToysRus, and it is the Naboo Starfighter. This thing is huge, and it's really cool to have something like this on display. I borrowed this from a friend to do a video about it and talk about it. I think it's really an interesting piece, and it's kind of heavy too. It's got wood on the inside, but it's got plastic on the outside, and it looks really good. Now, the first thing I thought when I saw this was, how well would this scale with the 6-inch figures? And I started thinking 6-inch Black Series, the SH Figuarts, and all of those figures. How big would a vehicle need to be for those figures? Now, we've already had a look in the past at the large TIE Fighter. Now we're looking at this. I actually think this is a little bit big. The zone's actually a little bit too big for these figures. Now I'm gonna turn this thing around and show you all the different angles of it. But here it is from the side, and it is huge. Now I've got a little case of bottled water. Is that still in frame, Jason?
Yeah.
Whoa. Look how big that is. It's not really that heavy so much, but wow, that's a huge ship, a huge display. And I'm going to start doing a couple of, I guess, size reviews. So here's a better side. You have to get that bottle water out of the way. But we're gonna do, let's go ahead and do a 360 of this thing. Wow! That is so huge. That is so cool. And then let's compare it to the other big episode 1 or prequel vehicle. And I happen to have one right over here, and it is the Queen Amidala Royal Starship. Now, look at the difference in size. That Queen Amidala Royal Starship was, I'm going to put it on this side of it so you can just see the size. I thought this Queen Royal Starship was huge when I first got it. And now, just like compared to this display, this is massive. That is awesome. Awesome how big that Naboo Starfighter is. But now with this and at this angle, I can kind of show you why it's actually a little too big. So if they made one of these for maybe the 6-inch scale, it would be smaller, because if you see him in the cockpit, it's a one-man fighter, so this is probably twice the size. So if they made a 6-inch one, it would be about half the size of this. But half the size of this is still bigger than this. So a one-man starfighter at a 6-inch line is going to be bigger than a giant ship that they had in the 3 3/4-inch line. Coincidentally, here's this guy. There's Luke, the reissue, the archive wave Luke, and that's what he would look like, I guess, sitting in there. Okay, so here it is next to one of my parts, X-Wings, and you can see the size, because if you think about it, the X-Wing is probably around the same size class as the Naboo fighter. The Naboo fighter always had that really long tail. Yeah, a real long tail, but yeah, this boy's huge. It's big. So I've known my buddy had this for a while, and one feature I thought was that the head moved. But then again, if it's just going to be, a big display, why would the head move? That wouldn't make any sense, I guess. So, but I was kind of thinking that was a feature, and it does come apart. Like, you can take this thing apart. You can take all of the three other components off. So this tail here comes off. And that's interesting. Whoa, I don't want that thing to fall. But, and then you put your screwdriver in here to tighten it up. And it looks like it gives it some sort of resistance that just kind of holds it in place somehow. That's interesting. And these here separate and come off. Whoa. That wasn't good. But it's more or less held together, kind of like with those, like a shelf. Like this would connect in, and then you turn the screwdriver to clamp onto that, just like you do if you're putting together a shelf that you get from Walmart or something like that, one of those bookshelves. So the next thing I want to talk about is another display from ToysRus from, I guess, 2 years earlier than this one. I think this was like 99, and then in 97, either 95 or 97, ToysRus had a different display. It was called the Extraordinaire Falcon. And there was a lot of people saying that if there was a Millennium Falcon that was to scale with a 3 3/4 inch, that Extraordinaire Falcon was to scale with a 3 3/4 inch. And I'm going to show a picture of one right now, and you can see how big that is. So first of all, it's way bigger. The Extraordinaire Falcon is way bigger than the Legacy Falcon or the Vintage Collection Falcon, or what's commonly known as BMF Falcon. And that one's big, and that one looks good. It's very intricate and all this stuff. And then, of course, the Extraordinaire Falcon is only a display. Now, the Extraordinaire Falcon has lights, and I'm not sure about sounds, but I know it has lights on it, and I know that a lot of those Extraordinaire Falcons go for like $1,500, and I'm not going to try to bring that thing over here. I'll just show you a picture of that thing. But it is a really impressive display piece if you have one of those. It takes up your whole wall, it seems like. But yeah, look at it compared to a Legacy Falcon, it blows it away. Now, if that truly was scale for 3 3/4 inch, what would scale be for a 6-inch line? But I don't know. I actually think that one is way bigger than scale, to tell you the truth. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's the scale. You'd have to be the size of Extraordinary Falcon," but I don't know. I think that a scale one would be a lot smaller than that one. Okay, so unlike the Extraordinary Falcon, I don't think this has any lights or any electronics in it whatsoever. I thought this was translucent, but now that I have it in hand and I get to evaluate it, this stuff here is just black paint. So there's no electronics, no lights, no sounds, and R2-D2's head doesn't turn. But this thing is actually very cool, even without that. And I'm not a huge Prequels guy. I am not the biggest Prequels collector, but I still find this to be very interesting. Just for fun, let's put it next to the MTT tank. And yeah, that's crazy. How big this thing is. Well, the tank was a pretty good size, but wow, huge. Now, my son had a really good idea that maybe it scales well with a 12-inch line, and I'm kind of starting to think it might. That kind of starts to look good right there. Maybe that does scale well. Does that look good? What do you think, Jason?
Yes.
What do you guys think? Put that in the comments. So let me know what you think about this display. Do you remember seeing these in ToysRus? Do you have a Naboo Starfighter, like one of the 90s ones, and then I think they remade it back in 02 or something? Let me know what you think about this. And I know that these were never supposed to be sold to the public. They were supposed to be thrown away, or I think this one they actually raffled off to people. I'm not sure, but it's interesting to have something like this in a personal collection. Just something you just don't see every day and may never see again. The days of these kinds of displays, with ToysRus not being what it was, and I hear it's trying to make a comeback. Okay, so here is this thing in relationship to the size of the barge. And so I've got it right there. It's just kind of hard to, compare them. I'm not moving my barge because I've got all the display set up, but that's kind of how big it is. But let me show you a picture of the prototype barge. There it is with a picture of the prototype barge, and I just kind of if you have a barge, you can see how big this thing is. Really cool. I'm real big into size comparisons and all that good stuff. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying my Star Wars Wednesday, all kinds of cool Star Wars items that we're talking about. Check out my other 2 videos. So I'm putting up 3 videos today, all about unique and interesting Star Wars items that you might be interested in. And one's about some junk, so if you like Star Wars junk or you just want to laugh at it, watch that video too. Like and subscribe, and Tidarium Hanger out.